So I want to preface that this investigation is going to be extremely superficial. It was just my own research. I've not delved into anything, extremely profound. So I just wanted to preface that. I also invite anyone who stumbles upon this video to do their own research and, create their own, position or ideas or opinions, essentially. I also want to state that all my opinions, going forward are my own, based on what I've lived, what I've witnessed, and what I've found. So I do invite everyone who's watching this to do, their own research, I guess. And I hope you enjoy. A bit of context to Venezuela is that it's located in the northern coast of South America. In 2017, it counted with 31.98 million inhabitants. The current president is Nicolas Maduro. It was colonized by Spain in 1522 and it gained full independence in 1830. It also has one of the largest known oil reserves and it's the world's leading exporters of oil. Now, moving on to the political aspect, we'll be talking about Hugo Chavez. He was elected in 1998 and died in 2013 because of cancer. Now, he had kept his sickness very hidden from the media because he had presented himself as such a strong, immortal man that he didn't want to be perceived as weak by his political opposition, by opposing countries. He wanted to be still perceived as that strong man that he had shown himself to be for so many years. Now, he used to be the leader of the Fifth Republic movement, which is a political party, and when he merged that party with other parties, it created the United Socialist Party of Venezuela in 2007, and he led that party until 2012. Now, while he was in power, he had been in power for a very long time, and during that time, there were various attempts to take away his power because of this. Of course, as any president, he is not universally loved by everyone in regards to political opposition, opposing countries, or in his own country. Now, we're going to be moving on to the reforms that he caused. Now, talking about the reforms, specifically about universal access to education, in 1998, nearly 1.5 million people learned to read and write in Venezuela because of the campaign called Mission Robinson 1. Because of this campaign, great percentage of the population had reached high school. The enrollment went from 53% in 2000 to 73% in 2011. And in 2005, illiteracy had been eradicated in Venezuela. Now, in regards to health, the national public system was created to guarantee free access to medical care to all of its inhabitants. Now, between 2005 and 2012, 7,873 medical centers were created to support this cause. Now, moving on to the current presidency, Nicolas Maduro has been president since Hugo Chavez passed away. He served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2006 to 2013. He was originally a bus driver who began his political career in the 80s by becoming an unofficial trade unionist. He has said to lack the same charisma compared to Hugo Chavez, and his opponents have painted him as a ruthless despot because of alleged political silencing as well as media control. He places blame on the current issues regarding the country on political sabotage, and his opposition places the blame on his mismanagement and authoritarianism. Now, there has been an increase of placing opponents in jail and restricting free press, as I said before. Now, according to Professor Ramon Piñango, Maduro has a very strong ideological orientation close to the communist ideology, contrary to Diosdado, who is a Venezuelan politician, former Speaker of the National Assembly of Venezuela. He continues to say that he is not very pragmatic. Now, on August 4th, 2018, Maduro survives an assassination attempt after several drones armed with explosives fly towards him during a speech at a military parade. He blamed the Colombian president, and in response, the Colombian president declared Maduro's accusations as baseless and that he had better things to do that day. Now, in September 17th, while the country is experiencing famine, Maduro was shown eating expensive food made by Nusret Gokce, sorry if I mispronounced that very badly, also known as Salt Bay, and on September 26th, he calls the humanitarian crisis a fabrication. The current state of Venezuela is that they're currently suffering hyperinflation, economic depression, drastic levels of employment, poverty, disease, child mortality, malnutrition, crime, and shortage of basic goods. Now, focusing on the repercussions, migrations from Venezuela to other countries such as Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Brazil, and Argentina, amongst others. Now, in Colombia, in June of 2018, there's 1 million Venezuelans. Now, Tomás Páez, who's an immigration expert at the Central University of Venezuela, says that our migration levels are now comparable to Syria or to Bangladesh. Peru offered temporary residents, granting them the right to work. Panama implemented new visa requirements, making it far difficult for migrants and asylum seekers to enter the country. Colombia, in early February, suspended the issuing of temporary visas and declared a massive militarization of the border, which unfortunately pushes individuals to cross in unsafe areas that are occupied by guerrilla and criminal bands. Nancy Pineda, who is a fruit seller, says the following: "We need to close the border. They come with fruit they buy for nothing in Venezuela and sell for prices here that I can't compete with. They come here killing and robbing Colombians. We need to take our city back." As you can see, Venezuelans aren't being seen as refugees compared to other countries. They are being seen as something far worse, and it could evidently show the xenophobia in the country. Now, from another standpoint, Jose Uriola, who is 30 and a Venezuelan, says the following: "We don't know where to turn." He is currently with his 18-month-old daughter, who is malnourished and developed a life-threatening heart blockage. Currently, certain countries are not equipped to handle such high levels of migration, already having their own problems. But as you can tell, this population is currently dealing with a lot of discrimination and xenophobia because of how they're being viewed as something along the lines of not even human, and as if they were taking advantage of certain policies that are being placed for them, or the leniency that they're given. This segment is my opinion, what I think about the whole entire scenario and situation, so then that'll be the end of this video. First, I want to say that yes, Venezuela, I think at the beginning was a socialist country, but it did change in the sense of, you have to call it what it was. It was a dictatorship. When a president is president for longer than the law allows, longer than whatever has been established, be it 6 years, 3 years, whatever, he only stopped being president because he died. If he had never gotten cancer, he would still probably be in power, and that's not how a socialistic political party should be. Now, you can tell, for example, in Mexico, there was once a president who ended up being president for 30 years, and so then they came out with a new law that essentially said that a president couldn't be reelected to avoid what had happened for 30 years. Now, when someone stays for 30 years, it's not like, oh, great, no, that's a dictator. Like, it doesn't matter how you paint it, that's what it was. And now, you have this current president who, how do I say this? Yes, he had certain political upbringing a bit, but he didn't study law. He didn't study, I'm ignorant in this subject. I'm not going to say that, I know everything about politics. I know what you're supposed to study. I know if you're supposed to study, international relationship. By the way, in Spanish it's called Relaciones Internacionales, so I don't really know what it's called in English. But essentially careers or, that are focused in politics, so you understand law, you understand, relationships between countries, you understand how a political, party is supposed to be, these things that you take, careers that you study for 5 years to kind of give you an understanding. You just don't throw yourself into politics and be like, well, I kind of know what this means. That'd be like if I wanted to go and be like, I want to be a senator, and I know nothing about being a senator. Senator, that's a weird word. Anyways, that is what I'm trying to essentially say, and I feel like there are certain presidents, I don't want to say who, you can all kind of deduce what I'm talking about, who don't know anything about politics and just got up to be president because they were placed there, because be it by the government in itself, by powers, by being friends with certain people, and they ended up being presidents. And you can tell of how they manage themselves, how they handle themselves, how they talk to other countries, that they aren't competent in being presidents. Now, I'm not saying a president is this almighty, perfect human being. No, they have advisors who tell them how to act. But the problem is, I feel like these type of presidents aren't listening to the advisors, and because they're placed in this pedestal, or, for example, in Venezuela's case, there are a lot of media silencing, and because of that, there's not a lot to say about, whatever you're trying to say. There's just painting this picture of, oh, everything's fine, no one's dying, everything's perfect, and it's... You need to understand, and this all goes down to being a human being. Now, you can be the president, you can be a senator, you can be, just a normal person who works minimum wage, you're still at the end of the day a human being. And I feel like a lot of politicians who are getting a lot of money, because being a politician you get a lot of money and a lot of political power and everything, that they're forgetting that they're human beings, and so they're willing to put everything on money, gaining more money. For example, corruption is very present in politics, regardless if it's liberal or conservative. There is corruption. There's people who will just want to do anything for money. I feel like there's a lot of people, be it presidents, senators, mayors, whatever, who don't have the town's or the people's best interest, because all they want is money. And until you put your empathy and your humanity in first place, you can't do anything. Now, like I said, we're talking about Venezuela. You have a population who is dying of famine, who have to leave to migrate to other countries because there aren't, there isn't food, there isn't medicine. Money, like the currency, is worthless. Doesn't, the conditions are horrible, and it's preposterous that a president can be going to wherever, Salt Bay, whatever his name is, having this expensive meat while your people are dying. It's mind-blowing, medicine. It's just like, how can you say that everything's fine, that everything's okay, that people aren't leaving trying to find better lives? And now, what I was talking about before, about people taking advantage of laws that are being placed for them, I feel like that, in a certain sense, can be placed as political propaganda, because, like I said, xenophobia is very high at the moment. Are there going to be people who are going to take advantage of whatever law is being placed? Of course there are. Are there going to be people who rather stay on the streets and ask for money because they can get more money, which they tend to do, get more money on the streets? Of course there are going to be those type of people. But there are other type of people who want to get money, who want to have an apartment, who want to have a house, who want to start all over and have a decent life. And you can't place everyone in the same bucket. I don't know why I just said bucket, but So it's a little bit infuriating when people don't, the government was created to take care of the population. That was the, I guess, very optimistic idea of what a government was supposed to be. Unfortunately, it's not. You're seeing that policies are being placed against climate change, against women, against whatever type of topic that is just like, why? Why is this happening? It's like, oh, free healthcare, no one wants that. No. Free education, no one wants that. It's preposterous to me. Politicians are supposed to be caring about people, are supposed to be helping them. They're not supposed to be, I'm going to be making money and we'll just let everyone die. And that's what's happening. You're seeing so many politicians focused on making more money, on being able to buy, you see presidents ending their presidency, having a castle in Europe, and it's like, what? Like, I get, like, nothing wrong with trying to make money in your presidency, nothing wrong, but that should be your third, fourth thought. Your first should be, how do I make this country better? Second, how do I make the inhabitants of this country better? It's sad. It's sad that politicians aren't what they're supposed to be, and because of that, there's so many policies that are being placed that aren't benefiting the majority of humanity, only like the 1% who's like the richest. I know this was started out with specifically Venezuela, but seeing so many things on news media and just seeing how things have become, and even in different countries, because humanity is humanity regardless if you speak a different language, if you're a different culture, different environment. Our core values are still the same, I believe. Empathy can be felt by everyone, laughter, happiness, but also greed, also corruption that could be also infected by everyone. And so I feel like this could be applied to any country essentially, and it sucks because there are countries who have handled corruption very well, and there are others who 90% of the money goes to politicians' pocket and 10% goes to the population, and that's not fair. That's not how it's supposed to be. And I just hate that politicians are forgetting that they are human beings, and that the money, for now, yeah, sure, you can go buy 100 houses, but when things of the world are going to affect everyone the same. Climate change is going to affect everyone. It's these topics that are such world, affecting topics, and people are treating them like they weren't. Mind blown. So I wanna end this video, I don't know, end it with a message of hope, like it's gonna be fine, but I do want to think, and I do want to believe that there are the new generation, be it people who are in their 40s, 30s, 20s, are new people who are tired of being treated a certain way by politicians and are going to be going inside the government and going to be changing these rules, changing these policies, and hopefully keeping their humanity and empathy intact, because it is hard. And I've met people who have tried to go into the government with, good intentions, but then they're either told, if you do that, you're just going to disappear, you know what I mean? If you do that, it's going to go horribly because 80% of the people are against that, and the people who are with that just aren't in the circle. And it's preposterous to me, it really is. But trying to keep it happy here. Hopefully, one, Venezuela comes through. Venezuela changes to what it used to be and to this country, and hopefully it prospers again, and they get food and they get medicine and they get everything that they're supposed to, and hopefully they come out of this. Secondly, I hope corruption disappears. I know that's like a lot to ask, but that's just one of the things that I hope that disappears forever. And thirdly, I want people to not lose hope, that they're going to be there in the future, and they're going to find that there's going to be politicians who genuinely care and who are looking out for them. And I hope for that, and I want that. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. I got very worked up on this topic, but